This is iRacing.
A circuit that, to end the season, takes us to the highest track in all of motor racing by the fact that these drivers have put 11 races down over 11 separate weeks. To say that you've got the best points available in your back pocket says all you need to know about how aggressive you need these races to be in your favor. While on a championship Sunday, there isn't that much to go and fight with in terms of championship honors, there is still the honor of saying you're a race winner, and what a place to do it at the Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez, or at the time that this was run with these cars, the Lady Mashuka Mixica. This a wonderful track of action. My name's Jake Sperry. Along with me for today's action is Craig King, with Christian Deploy in the director's chair and Dougie Beard providing camera operations for us. But a circuit that, believe it or not, was running all the way back in the late 1950s, early 1960s in Formula circles, has gone through a number of variations, and this today, a historic version of the run we'll get with a full Peraltada. Let's take a look at this place and what has become of this new modernized version of racing with our GSRC track guide.
Welcome to the Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez. Located in the Magdalena Mashuka Sports City in the southeastern region of Mexico City, this track really is an urban affair. Situated among one of the largest cities in the world, it tends to draw in unbelievably large crowds of race fans. The full 2.67 mile or 4.3 kilometer Grand Prix course can be split up in numerous ways, making for 7 fully distinct raceable layouts. It includes everything from an oval to an EV course, making it malleable to a wide variety of types of cars. In fact, the track has hosted not only top-end open-wheelers, but NASCAR, sports cars, and motorcycle racing over its history. That history began back in 1959 when construction was completed, but has since gone through multiple changes to reach its current look. One of the defining features that hasn't changed much over the years is the immensely long front stretch. However, a newer addition which first cropped up in the early 2000s is the Foro Sol Stadium section. This not only offers a safer option for higher-powered cars to bypass half of the Peraltada, it creates a unique atmosphere in which tens of thousands of fans can cheer on their favorite drivers with spectacular views. But our history buffs need not fear. The 180-degree Peraltada can still be raced in a few of the layouts on iRacing, recapturing its fearsome speeds and challenge. All in all, this place has a little bit of something for everyone. No wonder the Mexican fans come out in droves when motorsports come into town.
Well, this is one of the most interesting circuits, I think, that you can put on the calendar for the fact that it's got all these long straights with that very technical middle sector. And the wonderful fact here today, Craig, that they race from one baseball stadium to another baseball stadium around the Peraltada and down towards turn 1s, 2 and 3 at the Moises Solana.
Yeah, and because it's also the historic, which means we don't actually go inside the baseball stadium like the modern day F1 cars do. So we get this lovely run after the S's there at 11, all the way down to Peraltada at 12. And in the old days, that was a full oval banking now. There's a minute little banking there. I almost call it a New Hampshire-like banking around that corner. But to get there, you get through the rest of the track, and as we saw last time here with the high elevation, slipstream will be strong, and defending around the S's at 1, 2, and 3, and Esse de Largo at 4 and 5, you can go around the outside and make those defenses because it's such a wide track, and then it narrows up. So the key damage points today will be those corners for the driver. Give yourself some space. Make sure you've got the space. The S's will be also interesting, but it all just comes down to the big slipstream, because when you watch this, if you've never watched a race here, that elevation really hampers the engines out here today.
It does, because you're taking that air away from the engine, so it doesn't produce as much output as it goes through, so you don't get enough through the cylinders to go and maximize engine output there. But let's talk championship, because it is one and done by Andy T. He's done the minimum requirement needed around here of just the 8 races to go and put his points on the board, and so he has masterminded that brilliantly. 987 points. He's ahead by 68, which of course it's over 120 points for a maximum victory here, but because of Topi Courtaniemi's drops, he can only gain by about 28 of those points, so he's going to be shy. Algis Valenteus is third with Jack David Spickett in fourth. Togo Hisada finds himself fifth with Jacob Reed in sixth, as Ross Banfield and Jerno Freacher are 7th and 8th. 4 points between him and Gabri Martinez, as Timothy Reed rounds out the top 10 of the F1 drivers' standings for those who have over 3,000 iRacing in iRacing. Now about the F2 drivers here, Craig, who have less.
They have left. They have the sub 3K, and Luke Tenusen, now he is over 3K, been having a fantastic season, has that lead by just under 40 points. But the key thing is, he's not done a full quota of 8 races, so whatever he scores today will be his points. So if he doesn't crash out, he'll be able to take that championship from Antonio Alvarez, who has had a nice consistent season here. Remy Villeneuve will not be able to go far. He'll have to just settle for third, providing he holds off Michael Taylor and Craig Standing. And then Brandon White will be in 6th. Jesse Brandon will be in 7th, with Barry West 8th. Ben Summers will be 9th, right behind him. Keith Horner holds it up, and just on that F1 championship, we thought we'd have a battle for the final spot in the championship. No Valenteus today, no Jack Davis Spickett. We're thinking of you, Jack, today. We're thinking going on. And then Valenteus, he's decided Triple Crown was enough for me. I can take a break now.
Yeah, so we'll wish you all the best as far as it goes, but we've also got a little thing to look at for team standings out there, where Jib Racing have to try and hold Ben Summers and Michael Taylor, both up in the top split, will now have to try and gather themselves up and say, we got a score over Aaron Blair and Alex Raska, then with a gap of 12 points to Williams Grand Prix Engineering. Jerno Freacher can get some help in for Vorsteiner Arrows Racing Team with Jay Walsh, as Ligia Gitanis are 4th, and TVR Racing a bit further back in 5th. You've then got Brazilian Speed Star Team, John Player Special Team Lotus, Tissot Ensign, Totoro Racing, the team of Josephine Becker, and then finally the combination of Julius Müller and Gregory Woods there, Scuderia Ferrari, down there in 10th position. So that's how the team standings all get themselves set and ready. But Craig, if you are here for the first time, you're catching us for this championship finale here at Mexico, what do these drivers have to deal with today?
Well, yeah, championship finale, round 12 of the 12, and they'll be doing 26 laps around this roughly 85-second track here today, give you an idea of the pace. It's an open setup, so use the iRacing setups, use the setup you've made, or use one provided by the community. But if you crash the car, your day is done. There is no spare car out here. You might find the barriers today. Drive-through will be at 17 incident points, so don't cut those chicanes. Disqualification will be at 25. The smaller field today probably won't be seeing the 17, but like I said, you don't want to overcut these chicanes. Not only will it be a 1x, it will also be a slowdown in the extreme cases.
Yeah, so a slowdown penalty will cost you a couple seconds. The worst place to get one is in the opening laps. Currently, we are in the midst of qualifying, just about 2.5 minutes to go in this, and Topi Courtaniemi is currently the fastest driver out there on a 122.7. He is a 10th and a 3/4 clear of Togo Hisada, as he now works himself through the S's section, working in through 9, 10, turn 11. Here is a small flick left, which almost doesn't feel like a corner in these cars, but then you've got that long turn 12, the Peraltada, to finish off, and this is going to be a left-hand side tyre killer.
left-hand side, and a little bit of a slide there. He'll come across the line, already got the pole position. Even that time would have been good for pole position. So he's going to be very happy. It's a hot track out there today, Jake. This might be the hottest track we've seen for a while. It is 41 Celsius. That's 106 Fahrenheit. And make note of that wind. That's coming from the north at 25 kilometers an hour. To give you an idea where north is, well, the track is basically going west to east. So the moment you come out of Perotada, you're getting the wind straight in your face when you're midway through that oval banking.
Imagine setting up a fire, for example, as we watch through the Horkia Christopher Lenejak. Set up yourself your space heater or your fire, and then put a fan through just in front of it and blow that in your face. That is going to be how hot and sticky it is going to feel out there for these drivers as they navigate. Lenejak then really nice through this section of road. He got that one on rails. He's down on a 137, which is unrepresentative is the best way to describe it, but now we'll need to try and make something happen through the Perotada to get the lap time all finished. Is going to cross the line on a 1:23.8, which is good enough to just sneak inside the top 10 with all other drivers done. Qualifying is now score complete, and we can take a look at the starting grid to see where everyone is going to stack here today from the Ultra drummer Hermanos Rodriguez. Topi Courtaniemi on a 1:22.7 has 2/10 almost in the back pocket over Hasuno Kote himself, the Emperor of the Lotus. Togo Hisada in second. Zach Leon Hardy will go from, I believe, a career best of third, with Marco Nurmela, the teammate of Topi at Glacier, in fourth. Gabri Martinez and Timothy Reed will house row 3, with Mickey Friesen in 7th position. Luke Turnerson, that's a turn up for the books. The F2 Championship leader goes from 8th, with Emma Moreira in 9th, and Christopher Lenejak rounding out your 10.
And when we get to the second page, it'll be Kartik Pai in 11th. Gernot Fritzsche just behind him by 4 thousandths in 12th. Hans Sommer will be in the unlucky 13th, with Seamus Power in 14th. Then it's Michael Taylor in 15th, with Jean-Francois Boscus in 16th. Javier Mosquera will be in 17th, with Guillermo Diaz in 18th. Matthew Cockerham will take 19th. Ben Summers rounds out your top 20.
Beatrice Yank then is 5 on this next page, is 21st, with Jason Krakowiak in 22nd, the last to set a time. By iRacing then, Antonio Alvarez, Peter Konechny and Stuart Geddes are going to be the rest of the field as they sit to go and get what they need. So this is going to be a very long run towards turn number 1. They don't have to worry about turbo spooling and launch starts and anything like that, or super clipping here today. They know it's old school. It's just how good can you mash the right foot to the floor, navigate with the power, and hope that the rears don't spin up, and say this is how quick you can go and run for it. Now, as they set themselves up, understanding the day's work that needs to be done, it is going to be a 26 laps where you just need to be on best behavior for your first 13, and then you can start going out there, being aggressive for the last 13 laps that are out there. Gabri Martinez then onto the grid. We still wait then for the likes of Christopher Lenejak, who pulls himself onto the grid, also waiting for Guillermo Diaz, but there's no time for him. He's missed the start, so lights are on here and lights are out. We are underway. Courtaniemi gets a pretty good start. It's a poor get-go from about 5th position on the grid there, and that's not what was needed there for Gabri Martinez. Timothy Reed has left him in the dust, single file. They will go through the first 4, and now they start fanning out here. If they go too wide, it's contact. Already it's turn 1. Togo Hisada gets into the side. Then of Topi Courtaniemi skipping through the Moises Solana. It's Zach Leon Hardy who takes the race lead. Togo second. Nurmela is now third.
A shock for the start of this race, and what damage will they have? Because you need your aero for this. But you can see with that long straight, really needing to make that work for you, and that's not the best. He's down now in 4th. It's Courtaniemi trying to make some way through, so look how tight it is around the Esse del Lago, otherwise known as the river. And they are trying to work it. Gabri Martinez down 1. Hard charger after a few corners. Krakowiak and Alvarez up 3 places. But Leon Hardy up two as Hans Sommer looks to get into the S's. Well, it's Kartik Pai, sorry, looks to get past Sommer to hit the S's.
Kartik there in 12th position. Jono Freacher's up 2 off the start. He's into the top 10 as they work through the very difficult S's section. If you are going to deal with any form of dirty headers, not as much as a current Formula car, you'll really sense it through here. The Peraltada now as the pop-art car of Gabri Martinez now, who is always a catch to the eye. Looks for it wide there. Goes Togo Hisada, and Marco Nurmela then is going to pick up the run along the main straight and get that pass sorted at over 260 clicks on the straight. Now Togo in a Hisada sandwich with Glacier Racing bread, dives back down to the inside here at turn 1. He's made contact with one Glacier car at this section. It's almost 2 in 2, and through turn 3, Topi Kortaniemi is gonna cut him up and say slice and dice. I'm going to get my teammate to help me, but if I'm not careful here, if I'm Topi Kortaniemi, you might get boxed in for the Esse del Lago. Behind, though, what a lot of contact. Timothy Reed's around. Gabri Martinez got in the side.
Yeah, Timothy Reed just a little bit there. Gabri being probably a bit too aggressive to try and make to that corner, and that door was always going to close. Reed's got heavy damage. He looks like he's got, looks like he may have a slowdown flag. It's not a mechanical meatball flag, so he's happy about that. A driver who also has damage. It's the lightest, the damage to the side pod of Hisada. However, we know how fragile these cars can be, and just any disruption of the aero package here, so you just see Topi going a little bit wide there. Any disruption will really close, and it will really close up there, make the car a little bit skittish. Here's that replay at the start of the race, trying to make the best of moves, and I think he did expect him to try and get back into the middle of the track there. Just one of those lap 1 moments where they're trying to find a space to go onto that first corner. Now you'll start to see with that little bit of damage on Hisada, the overspeed for Topi. He's going to try and do this, and let's hope they don't repeat it.
Exactly on Hardy here, 2.5 seconds clear. Togo Hisada's got nothing for Kortaniemi. He's got the move behind it side by side as Luke Turneson's getting himself involved in this group here, and he has to check up for Elena Jacques, who takes his apex away, and then Jono Freacher in the Vorsteiner Arrows livery couldn't quite jump on to say here's what he could get. Moreira just behind, then Hans Sommer is then trying to get into play along then this wonderful next straight as they now work through off of the Trancera to the Esse del Lago. And now for Horquilla corner, they will hit once more, and this is where you're setting up the second half of the lap. In the old school version of this circuit, and I mean old schools they don't have here on iRacing, this was S's all the way to where they are now. It was a long right into a left. They've got a little bit of a straightening as was put into play by FIA standards, and probably the part of the circuit where Herman Tilke had his most fun.
You know what? I think I do like this track from Herman Tilke. Really does enjoy just having something like this. He's got the stamp of a Tilke track, but it also still keeps to that originality that this track used to have, and I really do love it. And you say about the second half of the lap. How about the second half of this race? We're not there yet. Last time we came here, we had issues where drivers were taking shorter first gears and were actually killing their tires. On a hotter track today, more humidity, more track day, more wind going on as Gabri still looking for moves and just can't get it. The tires are going to be crying today. And I wonder if a move like Gabri's doing right now, it's aggressive to make overtakes, he might be losing a lot of time on those tires.
Well, let's take a look at what happened with Gabri Martinez and Timothy Reed on the second lap. So this is how quickly it goes wrong. Gabri Martinez looking here along the Trancera to dive and go through, and there's the lunge, and then tiptoe, round you go. So Timothy Reed takes the slam into the side, and so I think he got away with it actually with that contact because it was on the side pod rather than catching a wheel. I think he's got away without too much major damage there as he was tipped up slightly into the air. Focusing still on Elena Jacques here, trying to work again to get the move on Mickey Friesen. He follows so well through this section. He will have a chance now to think about the run at the Peraltada, but it is a case here in these cars that because you're only lightly lifting and then shifting down the gears with I would say a light amount of braking, it's more important to get the run off the exit of the Peraltada to have this long slingshot into turns 1 and 2. You don't get the heavy braking zone, as now here comes two battles. Gabri Martinez now getting himself alongside Togo Hesada, and they are going to look to try and chop and chase behind. Elena Jack is through on Friesen, but Gabri going the long way around the Moises Solana inside at turn 2. Thank you, it's mine.
Yeah, that's a move that he was getting used to last time they came here and making it work. And it just goes to show Togo, yes, I know that was a slipstream moment there, but with that damage, that minute damage to the side pod, how much time is he losing? He did get a 24-9 last time, but it's going to hurt him. And we talk about that Peraltada once again, Jake, and let's bring back that win factor. There's so many different lines the drivers want to take. Do they want to go tight early and then tight again? Do they want to double? Do they want to go wide, almost out and in? The problem is today, the moment you hit that middle of the Peraltada, you're getting that wind in your face. Then Christoph, be careful there through the S's. Just hold it steady. And I think that is Togo just showing he's losing a little bit of grip there. And I mean the ground effect downforce grip that you get, because not looking that comfortable through the S's.
No, and I wonder whether that he's just nudged a tyre or something in that lap 1 contact, because he's just been going backwards on the straights and dropping that time. Marco Nurmela on a charge with the fastest lap. He's got the gap down to 2.2 seconds. Here comes Mickey Friesen, though, looking to try and make that move. He pulled out of line, but he doesn't have enough straight line compared to Elena Jack. Takes a second bite of the cherry to get down to the inside. Now, is he going to be better on the brakes here? It's a good wide holding line that gets it sorted, but if you're having to cover like that, you can try and attack off the exit. It doesn't quite work, and then Turnison is then into the mix as well. So he's starting to turn around and say, well, where does the group go? The group goes all the way back to Seamus Power in 13th place, all aboard the Togo Shinkansen.
Yeah, I don't think it's the bullet train either, despite they go fast. Elena Jack having a small slide there in front of them, so they're going to be losing and more sliding. Yeah, that's even bigger. I think he overheated the tyres once and then decided the tyres need to overheat even more, so he loses out. And he's going to have to be careful to come through the S's. And look how he's just nursing that car now. A little bit of the rear just slipping more than it should do on this car, and he's struggling. But here's the middle of the train, it feels like, with Jonah Preacher right ahead there of Turnison in front. And you've got to realize that he really needs to play a game of catch up, because like Mickey last time, he tried to pull out alongside, but it's a double toe, which means it's a toe for everybody. So I don't think that these guys in this front part of the train can do anything right now. And thankfully for Togo, if he's got damage, well, Friesen, Elena Jack and Turnison just had to check up. I think he might be happy for a couple laps.
I think he will as well. Friesen under pressure though, and this will be Christoph Elena Jack trying to go straight back here at turn 1 and get it sorted on the Moises Solana. Friesen under pressure from Moreira's not going to get there. Over the top of the curb, trying to get the drive, and this is the thing, if you bounce over these curbs, it's okay, you can jump through. There's your position changes then. They've gone through. Timothy Reed officially out of this race. +2 for Leon Hardy and Nurmela. Elena Jack up 3. And here's Turnison having a look, trying to get the move done. Not going to quite get there at the Esse del Lago. You got Hans Sommer in a bit of problem at the moment. And Kartik Pai is sitting there thinking, I might have a little bit of a nibble of that if anyone steps out of line. And this is what you see with modern sim racing. You force yourself to drive so strong at 100% all the time that one mistake, back of the pack.
Yeah, and that also means that you have to learn how to race in a pack. And that's really what makes some of these races nowadays fantastic. I see Ben Summers going down the order. He's had a moment out there. I'm not sure what happened. He's back running, so that's one good thing. But you go into the pack racing mentality here, and you have to accept that you're going to be racing like this for a while, and you're not going to look for an overtake. You may pull off to one side. That's probably just to cool the engine down, or just have a look to make sure you're not going to run into the back of a car. So seeing this long train, and we're down from 6th all the way to 13th in terms of a train right now, even 5th just about. It just goes to show that, yes, you're a little bit elongated on this train. You can't throw a blanket over them yet, but one thing is for sure, you have to behave and wait for the moments like Jason's doing right now. He's going to go side by side with Peter. He'll go around the outside, and the outside has been stronger, but Jason can't get it done.
No, Peter Konechny was very good at holding steady. Let's take another GSRC replay here. Take a little look at what's been happening. So this is Ben Summers then as he was going through onto the S's section. Just a little bit out of the groove, missed by half a car. Sliding about, decided to just jam on the brakes and say, look, this is going to be as tough can be. So that just shows you how tough you need to be driving around here, because one small mistake, and these barriers are surprisingly close, and it's not the sort where you can bounce off and continue. They're tech pro. You dig in.
Yeah, and speaking of mistakes, that actually just happened to Stuart Geddes. He had a bit of a slide, and, well, I don't think Ben Summers could avoid him, and he's now driving around with no wing at the back of this field as we keep on with Seamus Power. Togo's just losing a place up the front of the field as well as they come out of the final corner. Now, that's an interesting moment for Hisada, losing time here as Seamus Power continues on. Did Togo get a little bit squirrely? He did indeed. So he's losing time as we see Kartik Pai continue to push on. And again, he just can't do anything. Side by side, they'll go again. Well, Togo wants it back. They're going to go side by side through the rest of this. And around the outside is the faster line on both corners, and all three corners around the outside is definitely faster.
Yeah, but look at what it's done. Now you've got Mickey Friesen here. Now you've got Luke Turnison. You're leaving yourself vulnerable. They're all switching about, trying to find a chance. That's going to be very deep to the inside. Can he get it slowed up? Yes, but he has to turn on a sixpence to try and make sure he can get that sorted. That will cost him the line. The Horkia is on the inside now for Mickey Friesen. He can try and stamp down the power. He's stuck on the outside now. The play is all in play for Elena Jacques. He's going to find that he's got the starring role in that battle. He's got the place, but look at what happens when you just step out of line for one moment. It creates a massive chain reaction 3 or 4 corners later. Too much of a slide there for Christopher. Now Mickey's got the run for the Peraltada.
He's going to have to take this, but he'll have to do this around the outside. But the outside might be more favorable for Mickey. He knows how to run that outside line, and Christoph's gone. Christoph just disappeared out of nowhere. Not what's happened there to Christoph. I know he had issues yesterday with problems to the sim, but I think he may have had another crash out there.
Yeah.
And that would have been scary if you're going side by side with someone, and all of a sudden, it's one thing to blink, but then if you don't know if it's a blink or a complete disappearance, that's another thing. And I think they're all realizing now, and it's unfortunate what's happened there, but there is more battle side by side. Miera is trying to get past Soma. I don't think he's going to do it. He was first there, but he didn't break deep enough, and Soma just shows him how it's done.
Well, the Brazilian Speed Star team sees what happens when you overcommit into trying to get something sorted. Kartik Pai takes one look at the move and says, I will try and take this one back, but here's the issue. Door's still ajar. Couldn't quite get a clearance. That's deep. There from Moreira, he overcommits into the corner. Now he's got no turn at turn 5 to now attack for the Horkia, and it will leave him vulnerable as well to Seamus Power, who goes in. This circuit is one of the best to get drivers on, because I think this circuit, above a lot of other circuits in the world, is a perfect demonstration on how to overtake and have car control.
Yeah, you have driver's tracks, and in some respects you could label this a driver's track because it teaches you the fundamentals of overtaking. And you've seen drivers go around the outside. You've seen drivers set themselves up in the middle of an Estes situation to try and make the move. It's really testing your ability to look at all options and all opportunities to make moves out there. Moreira going to look to try and make a move. Those 3 cars who are battling in front, you just see him just leave the picture. They've also been battling as well. They're almost going to go 3 wide, but Togo's still holding them. Who's he going to give the toe to? He gives it to Turnison. That's going to help him. They're almost 3 wide going into the corner. And Luke, out of nowhere, has gone, thank you very much. Arigato gozaimasu.
Well, there's 1, there's 2, and he's done more than take the position of Mickey. He's gone and got Togo Hisada as well. That puts Togo on the back foot because he's fighting hard now with Mickey Friesen. Clever little toe grab then as they go through. Friesen's better on the brakes. Togo just listing through, and Gernot Fritzscher's suddenly into the party, and you know he knows how to battle with the many championships he's had over the years. He gets down the inside. Oh, he tags the rear tyre there of Togo Hisada, who just gathers it up on the exit, says, no worry for me, I'm going to hold the place. Luke Turnison here today has suddenly woken up with Division 1 pace from an F2 driver.
Can we say that this is the coming of age of Luke Turnison? He's really putting his elbows out, really driving fine, and Togo's car does not look good. I wonder if that wheel tap gave him even more damage. He had damage at the front. Now he's got damage at the rear, maybe. But I know it was a wheel-to-wheel. Could still do something, but he is struggling out there. And to say that someone's better on the brakes than Togo Hisada after what Togo's done the last few seasons is quite shocking, but he's just not had the season he wants, Togo. No victories this season, and he's in danger of going free wide once again. And I wonder if this will be almost the same result. They are all level. Sommer, Hisada, Preacher, something's got to give. And around the outside, they try to go, and everybody comes together.
Hans Sommer on the outside is what has to give. And then there's more troubles for Kartik Pai as he troubles at the Moises Solana. He gets a turnaround as he jumped up onto the sea. Found himself caught right by Togo Hisada out braking himself. This has not been a Togo Hisada performance that you've been happy with. This right now feels like he's cramming to get one of his assignments done on a Sunday night, Monday morning.
Yeah, I don't think he wants to be doing that. It's about 2 a.m., 3 a.m. in Tokyo. Well, just in the whole of Japan, it's the same thing. They don't do daylight savings like the Americans do, so they won't be springing forward, but Hisada is falling backwards, and Kartik Pai just got caught out there. It's hard to say that was an unsafe rejoin by Togo. It was just more of a, hey, 1 second. He had a big moment in the background. Yeah, I was just going to say, it's hard to say Togo had a mistake there with a rejoin. It was just overdriving. Peter definitely got caught out there.
Peter Konechny just overcooking it through the corner. The tyres screaming, tapping out, and look at Togo. He's clearly damaged at the moment. He's now going to dive into the pits here, and that is just to deal with the damage. He hasn't got a black and orange mechanical flag, but it is just too much right now to go out there and get something of it. So he'll pull to the pits as Antonio Alvarez here would have thought, okay, I might have a half chance to pick up some points if Luke Turnison runs into troubles early. But here's the issue that he's staring down. He needs at least 70-plus points to get the F2 championship. And Luke Turnison not to be in 5th place right now, scoring the most points he's ever scored right now on a career best day.
I'm going to have to look to the legends of the Lotus 79. I think this might be the most points ever scored by an F2 driver. We're going to have to check that. That just goes to show I've never seen an F2 driver get 5th place since, I think, the wet race at Watkins Glen last season. So for Alvarez, his chance of a championship is already a bit of a struggle, especially being in the top split, which means that for those who don't understand the point standings, if we're looking at Turnison right now, it goes by your average race time. So then you combine the average race time with all the splits together, fastest in that order goes. So just because you win the second split doesn't mean you're finished with points behind everybody in top split. Oh no, you're still battling on. Turnison is battling on right now. He's got Mickey Friesen right behind. He's got a very decent driver behind him who isn't the expert at open wheelers. He's more of a GTO sports car driver, but he's making it work. Alvarez in the inside of Sommer there. Sommer will get the run, and Alvarez decides that he wants to use a Joker lap.
Well, it's a bit wide. You don't actually get a slowdown for going that far wide. So at this stage, AA out there looking to go AAA and say Antonio Alvarez advance as Hans Sommer goes back through and gains that place. Jean-Francois Boscus is there, but Alvarez is looking very finicky through this section, looking for the drive. It's not going to come along, so they're going to stay as they are for the moment. They will drive along the Trancera and find a way over to the left-right chicane of the Esse del Lago. We've just tipped over halfway in this race. Alvarez is a bit, and Boscus locks up both brakes to try and not just T-bone the Renault livery.
I wonder if they were all just basically following the same way there and just making some issues. Here come Leon Hardy. The gap is closing. And just thinking about that as they came down to the Esse del Lago there, Jake, that wind is still coming from the north. Maybe just a quick gust just caught them out there. Broke a little bit later, probably where they thought they usually break. And with the way that track is working right now, did not help him. But look at that gap. Topi did take the fastest lap last time by, but Zach, for the first time in about 5 laps, I think, actually outpaced Nurmela in second. So it ebbs and flows as we come to the second half of the race. And I remember the Glacier Racer drivers last time, Jake, they did not have the right set. They hit the tires and burned them up pretty soon at the halfway stage. Let's hope they fix their mistakes this time.
Zach Leon Hardy then with a wonderful gap. He has led every lap of this race as Antonio Alvarez now will look to make this pull, and that's quite easy on Jean-Francois Boscus. Outbroke him and comfortably commands the apex for turns 2 and 3 at the Moises Solana. So he will hold himself steady. They're adding Guillermo Diaz into play, or Guillermo Gonzalez, as it would be, as he now starts to work through. So for Guillermo Martin Gonzalez, he wants in, he wants to get himself up in the order and say, I can jump in. Konechny's not done after the spin either. He's got Ben Summers, who's had his own spin at the same corner, and then Jason Krakowiak, who now leads this group through the technical middle sector down at the south side of the circuit.
Konechny's just having a little bit of issue getting on the throttle. I saw a wobble there, probably a bit too much throttle there, and he's overheated the tyres and he can't get that rhythm. And if you get one part wrong of this S's section, that whole rhythm is gone. It's almost like you have that balance on a magnet or a little counterweight that's spinning along, like your dual shock controllers. If it's out of sync, that's going to spin and cause a lot of issues, and that's that issue with the momentum. So he loses time here, which means he's not going to get the best of runs and the best of shots to make an overtake. He barely has to double toe. Meanwhile, someone who doesn't need a double toe, it's Kartik Pai, getting past Javier Mosquera, no problem. Javier not got the usual full pink livery, but it's pink and black out there. What can Gonzalez do this time? He'll be side by side with Boscus, and he started from the pit, remember, but in terms of qualifying pace, he's technically +2.
Javi Mosquera out there in the Persona 3 livery out there here today in the pink as he tries to work himself for anything out there he can go through. Maybe the colours of pink out there today trying to represent Yukari from the series.
Possibly, and also you've got to remember that's International Women's Day as well, but that's a whole celebration regardless of what colour you've got, regardless of the drivers. Beatrice is there. Would have liked to have seen Josephine Becker out here today as well on this day, but everybody just having a nice day of celebration as Javier Mosquera. Well, not a lot he could do. There is Beatrice. She's absolutely driving, and I don't know if you ever heard the story, Jake, while we got a bit of time. She doesn't race on a wet week because she thinks she cursed it on a broadcast until we finally had a possible wet week last week, and she raced, and it was dry. It gave Valenteus the Triple Crown, so she might be a lucky charm.
You never know, and sometimes I think luck works in mysterious ways. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. But speaking of luck, as we watch now, Guillermo Martin Gonzalez now looking to try and make this move, is going to pull over along the Principale to go and get that move done. There's that small kink to the right, which you've got to try and find that space. He's going to hit the brakes, but again, Antonio Alvarez just as equal on this run. Now to 2 and 3. Are you going to get the run over the outside? Oh, big hop over the curb by Alvarez. That's going to temper that one. Guillermo gets the pass done, and now there'll be chances to go through. Look at the gap at the front now. 1.4 seconds.
It's closing. He was 4/10 faster last time, was Namurla. So that's going to be one to keep your eyes on. What a great overtake that was, by the way. We just saw there. I think Alvarez hit that little curb on the inside of turn 2 there, just before turn 3 even, just because he worried that they were still side by side, and I think that cost him. Here comes the purple. Namurla just goes purple. Very broken up by Courtenemi here. He's a bit too far behind. He's about just under 4 seconds behind Leon Hardy, about 2.5 behind his teammates. So don't think he'll be coming into play yet. But 1.4, another temp out. There's still a lot of time here, 9 to go. If you get the couple tenths the next time, you've got to start thinking about that slipstream, that dirty air. And I do wonder what Marco's going to be able to do, because I think that's a little bit of a serpentine, a panicked serpentine right now.
Leon Hardy is moving across the circuit, but I think Marco Nurmela's got to try and dig in, and he's got to do so at the corners as Moreira through on the inside gets the pass done on Seamus Power. So that one is going to work on through. So for Seamus, he knows he's got to get back onto the noisy pedal if he wants to make something happen. But the critical matter of fact is this. You try and find ways to go and get these passes, and this is, again, old school in the sense of if you get stuck in the dirty air a little bit like this, you suddenly work out, right, where am I going to go in terms of finding this pass? How am I going to unlock this? That gap was down as low as 1.2 on the brakes to the first part then of the Essay del Lago. Because it was overcommitted by Marco Nurmela, he lost half a second through the second part of the Essay del Lago, and again, he has to keep doing that work once more. The polar bears that are sitting in second and third right now are melting in the heat, being given by Zach Leon Hardy.
Just because the largest iceberg in the Antarctic is starting to melt and get smaller doesn't mean that this is, because the gap between these two are getting smaller. And I mean the two Glacier racing cars. But Marco needs to find something, a little bit of an overheat the tire, a little bit of a mistake last time, needs to start really putting that consistency back in. But we like, as much as we say that he's making a mistake, we've got to give it up to Leon Hardy here, because a driver that's come to the series this season, and he's able to not only take the lead and take the initiative when he saw that lap one in turn one incident, he's been able to keep up the pace. He's been so consistent. It's not been a case of he's pulled away. It's a case of telling these drivers, right, beat me, be faster than me. And they can't do it. And now you're at this stage of the race where the track is still 37 Celsius, dropped down to 37 Celsius. The wind's still up. Those tires will be screaming, and he's not had to deal with any dirty air, any traffic, nothing. He's had clear air all the time. He's been keeping those tires pretty clean.
Quote unquote, the rich get richer when you're out there at the front of the field, but I do want you to see whether it's correct or not. I don't believe Zach Leon Hardy's had a race win in the 79s.
My stats are a little bit out of date, but I don't even think Zach's been here since for the last year. So yeah, as far as I'm aware, Leon Hardy has never had a win. I might be wrong, and he might correct me, and if he has to correct me, I apologize. But from my book of magic, it's no victories for Leon Hardy. This would be a great time to win, especially at such a technical track of this.
Yeah, so for Zach Leon Hardy, 7 laps to go. That gap, though, is agonizing every time they hit this section. This is where I think Marco Nurmela is going to be best. If he does catch up here, Craig, I think the Essay del Lago is the place he'll get the move on Zach Leon Hardy.
I think you're right there. I think that one's a safer option. It's a little bit tighter than the first chicane there, the Moisana. However, it does give you a little bit more options, because then you've got the Horquilla, and there might be a fork in the road, but you got to make sure you know where to go, and this gap is now starting to close. The fuel has started to burn off, and I'm now thinking he's almost in slipstream range. In fact, he's 1.1 behind. He's almost 1 second behind. We didn't get the DRS if this was modern day. We don't need no artificial overtaking. We just need power, skill, and a little bit of power again with the slipstream. He's finally in that slipstream, is Nurmela, and that shows it with a 1:23.181.
And critically, Topi Courtaniemi's only 2 seconds back. So if he now finds that he gets stuck here at about a second, they can bring the likes of Courtaniemi back in, who's been toiling and just nickel and diming this time back. I think he's leaving himself too much time, but Zach Leon Hardy knows he's in a race. Nurmela very squirrely coming out then of the Moises Solana, and that's not going to do any favors out there for what he wants late on in a race like this. This is not one of those races where they're chopping and changing every 2 seconds. They are working the hard yards just to get an opportunity, and that's critical. Kartik Pai now trying to fight his way past Seamus Power, and Seamus right now is going to be under all sorts of pressure heading along the Trancera. Here comes Kartik Pai.
Down to the Essay del Lago, and this is why we were saying if Nurmela needs to make the overtake, he'll do it here, because around the outside will go Seamus. Outside becomes the inside, holds it off, almost blocks off any room there for Kartik Pai, and now the Horquilla into the fork they go, and Seamus holds it. That is why we've been talking about that corner being the overtaking place for Nurmela. If he gets that run, if he gets up to it, because with almost 5 to go, he still needs to catch up to Leon Hardy. He will be able to make it. Some real good driving there from Power, and give him a shout out. It's not a track that he knows very well, but he has done it a few times in other broadcasts around here, so we'll be interested to see if he can defend it this time as they come down into the Pelotada.
Yeah, long around the outside. If you can't get it through the first part, you're going to get wake in the air as you work through, trying to cut back for an exit here, and that's what Seamus Power's trying to get here. This long run that's going to go over towards turn number 1, 2, and 3. The Moises Solana. And now, is this going to work? On the outside, how deep on the brakes do you dare? The long search it's going to be, covered on the inside brilliantly by Kartik Pai. Thank you very much.
Yeah, and I think Seamus just had a bit too much there. Probably broke a bit too late as well and got himself in a place where he was in the middle of nowhere as he had to start turning in. And the moment he wanted to start turning to the right and get onto the throttle, Kartik Pai just took that racing line and just blocked him off. So he's going to have to work it again. But he's seen it's possible. He's seen that move being done, and now he just has to keep patient. You're looking as well on that timing tower. The gap is closing once again between the top two. But with 5 to go, I feel like Nurmala's, he's not making the time he needs to right now, Jake. That's going to be interesting. Can Seamus do the same thing that Kartik Pai did to him last time? They'll come out of the S's, go beside the baseball stadium, and he's too far away.
Well, I turn around and say that Zach's having to push at 100%. Marco's pushing at 100%. That Stuart Geddes just in front. He pulls over to the right-hand side and he attacked the Peraltada wall going through on that last lap. So Stuart, who's 5 laps down, has got back out. Clears those drivers have cleared him, and now look at what that's done. It's pulled the gap to half a second. Zach Leon Hardy now realizes I've got more than just that to worry about. I am very much in a race, and I am going to have to defend for my first win in Lotus 79 Sundays, because Marco Nurmala is looking to spoil the inauguration.
He was going to spoil it, but he just took too much of the curve through the first part of the S's, and all that work he just worked up there, it's gone. He's lost a second due to that mistake, and he's now losing even more time, more running there over the curve, and now he's just losing that speed, losing that momentum. He's in danger of falling to Topi Kortanemi's grasp. That's how much it is. All that work he's done the last 3 laps is gone, and well, I say 3's the magic number because it's 3 to go, and it is 3 to go. That's going to be tough to make that second back up again.
You're going to need a mistake, because this has been a race where Zach Leon Hardy just hasn't been making them. Kortaniemi needing to clear Stuart Geddes along the straight. Will manage so, and he's going to try and take second if he can, away from Marco Nurmala, but he knows he's running out of time to do so. The gap 1.2, and this is a case of third is catching second and first out there. But again, it's all about drive off the exit, and Marco just isn't quite managing it right now. And Zach Leon Hardy is just answering the test paper correctly, knows he's just got to hit his marks, knows he's just got to do what he needs to. 1.3, there was a little bit of wheel spin then out of the Esse del Lago through the Horquilla, still 1.3, and now you're starting to wonder here for Zach Leon Hardy, how much pressure are you going to put yourself under? The legs are going to start wobbling. Every steering input's going to feel heavy and tough, and that's a big slide going through, and that's what I was talking about. So close to victory, and this might have just brought Marco Nurmala into it.
But it might have also brought Topi Kortanemi, and I was looking. That first part, the S's, Nurmala is understeering so much. That's why he's catching slide. Here's that slide again from Leon Hardy as he came through that section. He wouldn't have known that those were mistakes that were happening from Nurmala, but now he's in a little bit of a battle, and it's not going to be just a battle, it's the battle. It's a freeway dance right now because Topi is so close right there. I wonder what he's going to be able to do. Hard onto the brakes go Nurmala, and he's right on the back. And Leon Hardy, for the first time since the start of the race, well, he has to start looking in his mirrors, and that's the last thing you want to do, even with another bad exit there for Marco. And I think he's just pushing too hard on the throttle.
Well, how hard does he need to go? Because we're sitting down with a lap and a half to go, and he's now needing to try and find the one weakness out there of Zach Leon Hardy. He was given the gap, and ultimately, Craig, you have to say it, he had a reprieve, and he dropped the ball of concentration. Now he's got to fight for it again.
Has he dropped the ball that would have won him the race? We never know. More understeer from Nurmala through that first part of the S's once again. This was the part that Zach had issues last time, and he's just been a little bit safer this time. But you can also see on that timing tower, Topi's right behind them. This is the penultimate straight to really look for an opportunity before the final lap. And I do wonder, can Marco do anything? You said it, Jake. It would have to be the Esse del Lago to make a move. 5 tenths is the gap. They make a mistake, they're going to lose out to Topi Courtenemi as well. It's closing. Here comes the Serpentine. This is what Zach needs. Go to the inside, go to the outside, and here he goes. It's going to be a minute of action to end the season.
So at the Moises Solana, there's no chance of a move. Leon Hardy has staved off this big overtaking opportunity. But look at Marco! Oh, he's going to come from a mile back to try and get it. Tried the element of surprise, but ultimately nobody was expecting the Marco Nurmela move except Zach Leon Hardy, who just got it covered. The only downside to that move, it stops the SA del Lago. There's a little search to the inside. Marco extending his braking zones a bit more compared to Zach Leon Hardy now. They close up together now for the Horquilla corner, and Marco just sits and waits and knows that he is needing a mistake through these S's. He's seen one already, he needs one more. Courteniemi just a passenger now to what happens from this point onwards as they will dance through this S's section. Nurmela trying to find a bit of clean air to go and attack. This left-hander is the most critical one. How's the drive from Marco? I tell you what, he's got an outside shot here at the Peraltada. Zach Leon Hardy has led every lap on this race, and now with this fast right-hander to finish, Marco Nurmela's trying everything. Marco Nurmela's in the wall. Zach Leon Hardy is going to come to the line. He's going to get everything he wants, and then some. Dia de la Victoria, Zach Leon Hardy.
You could see there that Marco almost had to do a Chastain there. It was no Hail Mary, though. He just lost the car. He was pushing so hard on the throttle. Meanwhile, in the S's, Seamus Power overtook Kartik Pai. We're going to have a free car dance here to finish. Round the outside the Peratana will go Kartik Pai. You've just seen one car lose the grip. You're going to see another car lose the grip. And he's still fighting the car. And he's going to go wide. He won't be able to stop it. He loses that P9 at the end of the race. But I'll tell you what, he did a very good job to hold off Javier Mascara at the end. What a drive for Seamus Power.
Great racing all the way through this group, and this one has been a slow burn to finish. Oh, and Ben Summers will look at Antonio Alvarez and go, I nearly had him. I very nearly had him. Beatrice Yank will be the last driver over to the line. So let's get result then up on screen. Had to earn your first race. You can never have it too easy here with the Lotus 79. Zach Leon Hardy, 36 minutes and 23 seconds. He'll be just drenched in sweat as he comes across the line. Marco Nurmela, 6/10 back in the wall, but able to hold against Topi Courteniemi for third. Gabriel Martinez would finish fourth, and give huge credit to Luke Turnerson here today. A top 5. I don't remember the last time we saw an F2 driver finish fifth in a race like this. Mickey Friesen will finish sixth ahead of Jerno Friescher, with M. Moreira in 8th position. Seamus Power there in 9th, with a very slidey Kartik Pai rounding out your top 10.
Just for the stats, the last time we had someone this high in F2 was Jack Davis Pickett in 4th. Javier Mascara misses out on the top 10 by 0.073. He'll be 11th, with Michael Taylor coming home in 12th, and Hans Sommer will be in 13th. Matthew Cockerham will take 14th, and Gonzalez will be in 15th. John Francis Boscus will stay in 16th, with Antonio Alvarez up 6 places to 17th. Ben Summers will take the 18th, with Jason Kukoviak in 19th. Peter Kowinski will be your 20th, but just one more driver on the lead lap, Jake.
Yeah, and that would be Beatrice Yank, who would find a very nice, consistent finish. Behind her is Stuart Geddes, who retires the car 8 laps down. Togo Hisada with the contact then at the opening corner of the race, which sets up the entire run through. Christopher Lanejak, and then Timothy Reed then at the first retirement of the race after his contact with Gabriel Martinez. That puts into perspective how wonderful this season can be, has been, and will be. And so when you set up and say, okay, what has this season been? It has been a dominant championship, but you think about how many previous champions that we've had in this field that have looked to try and prove themselves, and say that Lotus 79 Racing is still as strong as it ever has been. And you look at a race result like today, and you say, Craig, this is the sort of race result that says there are even new drivers coming up who do want to challenge for these wins.
And it's great to see so many new drivers come up. This is the series that get stronger and stronger and stronger. And we got to thank the community for bringing us back once again, because not only do these drivers drive and show they're the best of the best in these cars or in open wheelers, we get to show why they are with such good racing like that today.
Absolutely. Let's take a chance to talk with the driver who finished second overall for Glacier Racing, Marco Nurmela, who is here with us now. Marco, unfortunately, in terms of today, you threw what you could at it, but a couple of mistakes when you got yourself into range was the only difference maker on what was a very hard-fought battle against the stopwatch for most of that race.
Yeah, it's I had a couple of races before, and I noticed that I just burned the tires in the end, so I just saved at the start and made a push in the end, and it didn't work out. But yeah, it was a great race.
Talk us through then the early stages of the race, because that first corner, I think, set up the entire run of it. You see Toppy and Togo come together. You need to find a gap. You need to have that ability to jump through. How critical was that first lap to allow yourself the position to then get into saving mode and then later on to attack a driver then like Zach?
Yeah, I was lucky. Like I think it was Toppy was like fully in the air, and I was just hoping I don't hit anyone, and then after everything, I noticed I'm second, and then I started like getting in my race pace.
Your race pace is certainly there. You'll start jumping up the championship order then for the end of this championship. Are you looking at next season then, with the results that you've been knocking on the door with, looking at getting a full season then underneath your boots?
Yeah, I have been like sick for a year, so this is my like first touches of the racing this season. So yeah, I'm looking forward to the next season and improve even more.
Well, I think it's a real pleasure that we've actually got you out here racing in that regard, and great job here today. A second place for Marco Nurmela, who has joined us here today. Toppy Courtaniemi finished off in third position. We don't get to hear that too often. He stood by with Craig King.
Yeah, alongside with Topi Courtaniemi. It's his fifth second place of the year. And Topi, Topi, we've got to address that lap one incident. I think you're lucky enough to get away with little damage there, but what exactly happened out there? Was it just a meeting of the minds and not knowing where each driver was?
Yeah, I guess I just wanted a wide entry, the inside, so otherwise we would have bunched up the guys behind, going extra slow in the turn one. And I don't know, maybe it's for me to blame, maybe Togo, maybe it's just a racing incident. Probably we had a different ideas what lines it happens. Okay, Togo got a worse out of it. I think he got a side pod damage. I see when I was next to him.
Yeah, unfortunately, he did have a minor side pod damage, and that just sent him backwards for the race. But you then had to make a recovery drive, and it was almost close to work there. You were at the end of the race, really having the pace there, which, to be honest, was the difference of what happened last time we were here, where the tires wore out a lot for you. A lot of wind today, a hotter track temp. Was that noticeable through the corners? Because this was a little bit of difference compared to the last time we were here.
I don't know because my car was broken most of the race. After the contact, I had to adjust the car a lot. It was understeering in the slow corners, but then oversteering in the fast ones, which was good because I had understeering the last turn all week, and now I had oversteer there, so I was happy. But I think I was still slower, and I had to tune a lot of arcs, a lot of brake balance to find a good compromise to make the car work.
Now, Topi, I know I addressed it. 5 second places this season. Your worst official counted result was a 4th. And I know it wasn't enough for the championship, but it's still a P2. And with Andy probably not back next season, does this give you the confidence, even with a broken car, to get a P3? Does that give you the confidence to continue to look for a championship next season?
Yeah, I'm hoping maybe other fast guys show up. I mean, Chad was really fast. I mean, and congrats for the win. Great drive for him. So maybe next season, but also next season there's new tire for the 49, rain. in Camel and in 49. So we'll see.
We might say, tell you what, we might see you elsewhere. You know what that means, Topi? That means if you finish another race in the weekend, another visit to the sauna. And I'm sure right now that's where you're going to go and hibernate for week 13.
That's true.
Topi Courtenay, congratulations on a P3 and a P2 in the championship. We look forward to seeing you next season.
Thanks, Greg. See ya.
Topi Courtenay there, third place today. What could have been, though? Even with damage, still finishing in third.
Yeah, not enough rocks in the sauna for this one for him. He'll know that if he wants victory sauna, he'll need a little bit more pace to go and make that happen. But today has been a very strong bit of battling, and what a time it is to be a Lotus 79 driver with all of what is coming up on the horizon for the Classic Series here in week 13. I want to give a massive thanks to the team who has brought this show over across to you. From Craig King alongside me, Christian deployed Director's Chair, cameras provided by Dougie Beard. My name is Jake Sperry. The next run in terms of racing action will not be until next season, but in terms of what's on the horizon, the Porsche's Owners Club are getting back together again. They'll be at Sebring over on Monday night, Tuesday morning, wherever you are in the world. You can catch that from Sebring to get into play. Grand Prix Tour continues on a week 13. They'll be jumping through at Mugello for the second round of the championship. The Grand Prix Legend over on the 21st of March will start their season off in possibly the most difficult circumstances possible with the Nordschleife, but in between that, on Porsche's YouTube and Twitch channels, you can catch the Porsche Esports Carrera Cup North America, which will be starting its season off at Sebring, and you'll definitely want to catch that as part of a Genesis Extreme production here with the Global Sim Racing channel. A day for many that will feel like a season ending, a chance to say, look, we've had a great run. Some have got out of town early, but school's out, so to speak, until they get to the brand new season. But with drivers missing, opportunities arise for many. It's not often that you get to put yourself in the realm of Jack David Spickett if you are Luke Turnison. That is a result that needs to go down as massive for a championship effort there in F2. But when you get your first win, when you have to get it against two elite Glacier Racing wheelers, simply put, you've got to be the hardiest of them all. And the hardiest driver in this field today was Zach Leon Hardy.
This is iRacing.